Hey everybody, Mark Schultz here. We are here for the final speaker of our 2020 Digital Aircraft Recovery and Aviation Virtual Summit. And we saved one of the best for last. We saved the coolest technology for the end. Larry, do you like drones?
Mark, I love talking about drones, and I'm just excited that this is our last session, and we get to talk about something really cool.
Yeah, it's great. Hey,
an amazing entrepreneur.
Yeah, we have with us Colby Harvey with the CEO of the company Rizse. Colby, what does Rizse do?
Hi, everyone. Yeah, thanks for the introduction, and thank you, Larry. It's great to see both of you guys again. Rizse is an innovative robotics and artificial intelligence company changing the way aircraft are inspected.
Excellent. Very good. Hey, listen, we're really excited to have a discussion about drones and how they're being used in the industry today. Before we go into the detailed discussion, I just want to ask everybody out there if you'd really help us and get this session out there so people can learn about drones. And please share the stream. We'd really appreciate that. The next thing is remember that this is a live session, and so you have the opportunity to be able to put into the comments and ask questions. And most of the platforms we can see the comments, not all of them. So hopefully we'll be able to see your comments, but we see them in a multiple number of places. So please make comments and ask questions. And then next I wanted to ask you is if you're on LinkedIn, we've been live for 3 days on the hour, every hour on LinkedIn. However, there's a button up above if you joined in the events that says join the event. And if you click that button that says join the event, it'll take you over to our platform that's at live.recoveryandaviation.com. And over there, you watch the video, and there's a chat session, and there's also an agenda. And the reason you'll want to see the agenda is because there's links there to be able to connect with our speakers. And so if you want to connect with Colby after the event, there'll be a link there to be able to connect. So jump over to the live platform. It gives you the best experience. All right, thanks, everybody. I appreciate it. Let's just jump right into this discussion. Colby, where are you located today?
So we are located in Austin, Texas.
All right, excellent. And Colby, they told us that they're changing the way that the industry is using drones. We'd really like to hear about that. But before we jump into that, we want to ask a couple of questions. We've been talking a lot about the industry, and we've been talking about how the events that are going on in the industry have basically changed business. I want to ask you this, is that what are the business problems today that our customers, that your customers are faced with that are really driving what you're doing in your business? What is it that people are trying to accomplish that would cause you to go into the drone business?
Sure. Yeah. So today, how we focus primarily in aircraft inspections. Actually, that's our whole business model. So traditionally, these inspections are done very inefficiently. So, for example, requiring technicians to tie themselves off to the rafters of the hangar or use heavy equipment and potentially cause more damage to an aircraft by running into the side of it or something. So we're able to streamline the process and make it much more efficient, because in the traditional way, it takes like minimum between 6 to 10 hours to perform these inspections, whereas our drones can do it in one. So that's a reduction in time of about 90%.
So we're looking at a picture here. What am I looking at across the bottom there, Colby?
Sure. So in this deck, you'll see just an evolution of our drone design. So you'll see us from where we began when you saw the original drone in MRO Americas 2019 to the iterations that we've gone through to the final design that we landed on and that will be deployed to our customers.
Excellent. Boy, there's a big evolution of that there, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, quite a bit of change. Hey, so specifically, you said you do inspections with the drones. Help me with what kind of inspections, what kind of business problems? I know we've heard some of this before, but what kind of inspections would you be performing on an aircraft? For what purpose?
Yeah, sure. So we perform a general visual inspection. So any inspections that come in from, let's say, like a lightning strike damage, or if hail strike is reported, an aircraft flies through a hailstorm, excuse me. So typically we also do the inspections anytime during an A check or B all the way to D checks. Anything that just requires the inspection of the exterior frame of the aircraft.
Yeah, and help me with the technology. Can we talk about the technology a little bit? Do we have a picture that we can throw up there of the drone? Yeah.
Sure.
I think we got one that we can throw up there. Maybe we just look at this one, or we can flip to a bigger picture maybe, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. There's one right there. Hey,
so
yeah, so there's a picture of your drone there. And can you just basically tell us what we're looking at here? Just give us a quick overview of sort of the technology and why you have what you have in that picture there.
Sure. So we use a kind of a traditional quadcopter frame design that you see here that's made with a carbon fiber unibody frame that's very lightweight and allows us to achieve a flight time of over 20 minutes. The camera is a high resolution camera that's able to detect a minimum feature of about a millimeter, 0.1 millimeters, excuse me, as well as the really kind of the sweet spot and what sets us apart from either our competitors that are in the space is the use of the three-dimensional 3D LiDAR system that's on the bottom of it. You can't see it from this angle, but that really provides us with a very unique ability to perform our inspections in GPS denied environments. So these are environments that we're not doing the inspections outside on a runway, so we can't use GPS in order to do like localization around an aircraft. So we had to kind of flip that on its head and think of a way that was much more. It's much more technically challenging, but much more efficient of a process because that system allows us to navigate and continue missions even if there are moving objects or people on the ground or maybe scaffolding that's left up around an aircraft or a scissor lift. So that's what's truly unique about the product is how we utilize the multitude of sensors on there to perform our inspections.
Okay.
Hey, Colby, what are those yellow things?
Those are the coolest part. I'm just kidding. So those are prop guards. They are a truly iconic design, which was exactly what we were going for. We want to make sure not only is this thing industrially ready, but it's very bright. It's very visible, so everyone knows, hey, a drone is operating, a drone is flying. So try not to go be too crazy or do anything too crazy around it.
Yeah. Hey, Colby, one of the things I really encourage people to do is ask us questions, and it kind of guides where we go. And I don't like to save them to the end because it makes it more interactive. And I have a number of questions that have popped up, and I'm wondering if I can just throw them at you. They're really easy. So are you using drones for airport inspections?
So the drones right now, we don't focus on any airport inspections. That is a particular vertical that is possible for us to enter into. But right now we are focusing on what's really uniquely close to my heart and really to stay in line with the business model of making sure that we are performing optimal and efficient inspections for the aviation industry.
Okay. So the next one is...
So just to follow up to that, sorry, Mark, and I know we'll go back. So does that mean all the inspectors are done in a hangar or okay.
At the time being, yes, all the inspections are done to the hangar, inside of a hangar. Now, that being said, with one-off things that we can do is working with airport authorities to allow for drone use on an active runway, but that's a little bit more of a challenge. But it is something that we've done before.
Got it.
Yeah, I guess this question could have meant two things, and I read it one way, but it could have meant, do you do aircraft inspections outside at airports? Or it could have meant, do you do inspections of airports? Okay. And and so how about the latter? Do you do inspections of airports?
No, we don't do the inspections of the airport.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. The next one is, do drones have the capability to measure height and distance?
Yes, they do. So there's a multitude of sensors that we use on top of the drone. So specifically that three-dimensional LiDAR system that's on the bottom shoots out basically a bunch of lasers that are distance measurements. So it allows us to paint this really vivid picture. If you've ever seen self-driving car pictures, it's pretty much the same thing. And we can tell exactly how far and how close we are to certain objects, as well as either optical flow sensors or rangefinders. So yes.
Okay. Couple more. This is from Diedrich. He's obviously very interested in your drones. Okay. How is the data transmitted?
So the data is transmitted one of two ways. So if we have internet, as long as we have internet access within a hangar, or customer requests us to have the ability to maybe let's say like a 5G repeater or something inside of our cases. It's all streamed back to our backend instances for processing of all the data that's captured and back to end user platform. We also are able to live stream that data directly to the platform as well while the drone is performing its inspection.
is there any internal storage? That wasn't one of the questions, but is there any internal storage on the device?
Yes. So you also have the ability to record everything that's on an SD card and actually move it that way as well.
Okay. All right. Okay. One more question is that could you control multiple drones from a central control center with drones maybe hundreds of miles apart or something?
No. So we want to kind of limit the range. That's not something that's outside of the wheelhouse of what can be done. It's just, per specific guidelines and regulations, we want to ensure that there's always someone watching the drone that's relatively close to it as well.
I was just wondering if that question might have went to a remotely piloted kind of a question, like could you have a person there on site who was monitoring it, but somebody was controlling it from somewhere else or something like that, Yeah.
And ultimately, the person wouldn't really be, the person in the ground control station would be the one that's controlling it. And really it's a turnkey solution. So you press start and it does its own thing until you have to go and do maybe you want to get a closer look at a certain point on the airframe. And that point you can, but all the data can be live streamed or remotely streamed to someone outside.
Got it.
So
yeah.
there's no one really flying the drone, right? The drone is on a pattern and it just goes. Is that right? Or is there someone actually flying it?
No, it's completely autonomous. So we analyze every model aircraft that we possibly can, either through the ingestion of wireframes that are given to us or by doing it and creating those models ourselves. And then the drone generates points that way.
Okay.
So to Diedrich, thank you for the questions. And he just told you, thank you, Colby. So appreciate you answering his questions. I know that people like to hear their questions and, when they have things come up. So anyway, let's keep going. So, I know that you're working with a variety of different, clients, and are they all trying to basically accomplish the same mission, or are there people using them for different purposes?
Yeah. So generally we have had one of the manufacturers that we are working with actually ask us to perform inspections from a manufacturing perspective for quality assurance. So that was not initially a use case that I envisioned, but it is definitely something that the product can do. So that was an interesting conversation. But all of our users want to utilize it to decrease their aircraft downtime and reduce risk for their personnel on the ground.
Reduce risk. So how do you ensure that the vehicles are safe and they're not going to run into people or drop on the aircraft or cause damage or whatever? How do you ensure that that's the case?
Sure. So actually, that's a really great question. So one of our chief science officer actually is a former NASA engineer working on safety programs that are mathematically sound. So the way that the drone works, we have that first layer of additional protection, which are those prop guards, to ensure that even if the drone props were to hit, it would not cause any damage. The drone itself is programmed to use predetermined fail safes. So let's say if something happens, let's say a prop goes down or two props go down, utilizing the mathematically ready software set or safety set, the drone identifies specific places that it can land and it can have a controlled crash, if you can really say controlled, to ensure that it doesn't cause damage to any property or anybody.
How long did you say the flight time was again?
We have about over 20 plus minute flight time. 20
plus minute. And does it know to get itself to the ground before it runs out of battery?
Yeah, so there's certain fail safes within the software that it will, once it reaches a certain level, battery level, it will return to home and ask, hey, change my battery.
Okay, and you said it has like sensor detection so that if it's going to bump into something, it moves?
Yes, so it does have collision avoidance. That's a big portion.
Collision avoidance, okay. Even in smaller, drones for private use, I've seen the technology is just really pretty amazing on how it can do collision avoidance. And so I'm certain that in something you're doing, it's much more sophisticated than that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little bit more sophisticated than just standard avoidance, because it won't just stop the drone. The way that ours works is that it can stop the drone and continue its path, or to reach a path where it can continue its operations.
Okay.
Mark, now that we're kind of talking technical things, my experience with drones, a couple of issues that we ran into that were just kind of at that time hard to overcome. One was spatial awareness. And, how does it know where it is and where the airplane is, and how do you do that? And also just the size of the data and how do you, move those data sizes around, and how do you manipulate the data into something that's really usable? How have you addressed those kind of two concerns? I think the spatial thing you talk a little bit about, but talk a little bit more about both those.
Yeah, so the storage capacity on the drone is actually quite large, because the files that are coming off of all the sensors in unison, it is quite a bit. So we're able to effectively store all of that information and use real time. This is using the machine learning pathing, real time machine learning analysis, computer vision analysis, to identify safe routes around an aircraft, or around an obstacle to continue its flight. And then all that information is extrapolated once we do like any post-processing for just the images, because the let's say the LiDAR data sets aren't something that's going to be processed back to the end user. That's stored on our cloud instances for evaluation and review.
So Colby, don't dazzle us with your technical jargon. What's LiDAR?
Sure. So LiDAR is basically a system. In our case, we use a 3D LiDAR system. So it's like, picture like a spinning plate. I can't remember the name of what they're actually called right now, with like kind of a pole that has a set of lasers on it. So those lasers shoot out distance measurements, or just lasers to find the closest objects around it. So that's how we solve like the spatial awareness issue. So it's used like the same way as the self-driving cars. So identify what's around it and how it can navigate in a specific space. So that the drone basically has the senses, aside from smell, that a human does, and touch.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Colby, you mentioned that you had a variety of different type of customers, like MRO, airline, OEM. What are the applications? You said that one of the applications they're using in manufacturing. If you're an airline and MRO, are you basically using them for inspection, as you've discussed, or are there other applications that you're using them for?
So you could also use it for space planning, because technically the data that's retrieved off of the LiDAR can be used to generate actual models of the aircraft, like a wireframe, so you can get all of the dimensions. So you can use that for planning if you're building a new hangar, or understanding the amount of aircraft that you can theoretically fit inside of a hangar. So there's a few other uses for it, but yeah, those aren't exactly things that are the first thing to mind, but there are other uses.
Okay, all right. Hey, I've seen what are we looking at here right now?
Sure. So this one is actually just like a rendering in a space that our designers put together, which is really cool. But it's just really showing the drone in relation to the size of what it'll be inspecting. But
okay, that's a good question. Yeah. So the size
they're pretty big, right?
Yeah, it's big.
Yeah, they're not small drones, but they're not like humongous types of like take up a whole I don't know, a whole counter space. I mean, but they are pretty big, especially with prop guards on them.
Yeah.
So what is that, about 3 feet across? How big is that?
Yeah, just about 3 foot by 3 foot, or 4 foot by 4 foot. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Excellent. Colby, so back to the question about the industry right now is, has your business taken off or slowed down because of the economy right now, or where do you stand with respect to your business and it growing right now?
Yeah, that's a really great question. So in terms of the aviation industry as it stands, our business has actually been more so at the forefront of a lot of industry's minds, because the industry is now taking the time or downtime that it's had to look at more innovations to bring inside of their facilities, because a previously pragmatic industry that's really looking for something to change, this is really a very opportunistic time to do so, which has been quite beneficial for us, to say the least. Also in light of social distancing, and wanting to do reviews of data from miles apart, at least the drones can be used to do that, which is really a really key factor for them. And since we don't focus on helping the airlines generate like top end revenue, at least in this initial sense, we focus on those bottom line operational expenses. So how can we save the industry money as opposed to charging them, making it cost more? So that's really, really something that the aviation industry and the airlines in and of itself are really focusing on, conserving capital. as well as using their resources as effectively as possible, which our product allows their technicians to do.
Yeah. Hey, Colby, I assume that there's a companion piece of software that's used. You're not just generating data. Is that an accurate assessment?
Yeah, so along with the drone, there's actually an end user application. I actually have we have the my marketing team kind of put together a little demo, and that I'm more than happy to share with everyone here. That really shows, kind of the user experience of the application for the technician, which if you like, I could definitely share.
Sure.
Sure. All right, 1 second here. Okay, it's in the back.
We can pop that up there. Pop it up on the screen. Yep.
Sure. So this one's it's on YouTube right now. But essentially, what happens is in our control center, where we call it, you see from here a technician can initiate. Sorry, we're pretty quick. A technician can initiate an inspection, and then once that happens, they're taking kind of this screen here. From here, you see a wireframe overlay where the drone is filling in images as it scans and inspects the aircraft. Once the inspection is complete, you're getting a report screen. From this report screen, you can tell what all the damages that are potentially happened or are on the airframe, get a good view of it, and then you can get a much closer look from here. And that way, it's easy to identify damages further, help train our artificial intelligence models by, if it's misclassified something, you can reclassify it, and then gives any tolerances to the end user. So it's a pretty unique application. So I'd say that, but yeah.
That's really interesting. And
so you're able to pick up depth as well as size?
So that is a product feature in our roadmap. That's actually a much more harder problem, or excuse me, challenge to tackle. But that is something that we are working on using the sensor sets that we do have. And hopefully in the next few months to year, we have a resource or a product that's able to account for the depths of each dent as well.
Okay, cool.
So, Colby, is there a requirement for, well, how do you combine the scanning and the identification and the need for visual, follow-up of the damage once it's been identified? How does all that work? What is the process of doing that?
Sure. So at this time, a human is still required to review the data that comes off of the drone that's pulled off of here. And I can go ahead and close this for you guys. Just want to give you a little share. So that data still has to be reviewed by a technician. So just in case, the report screen that you did see, that screen is what a technician can use to find the identified damages. There's also the live stream, the video portion. So the technician, just in case the drone may have missed something, they can review the entire image set and identify damages, and then sign off from their perspective to say, hey, this aircraft is good to go, hey, or this damage has been addressed, or hey, this damage has not been addressed. And then we still then print out reports that can be saved digitally or in PDF format by an MRO, airline, or whoever is using the product.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, it's all really very interesting technology. Colby, how did you come up with this particular design and the features that you just described to us? Why was it this as opposed to your earlier design? We saw a picture of your earlier design. I guess that one was just a prototype, was it, or at that
Yeah,
time?
exactly. So since we are still, I wanted to say like a startup, we wanted to make sure that we had a product that was something that was commercially facing, that had all of the components and equipment that we needed in order to make it a viable product for the industry and for the market. So we went through these iterations and these designs of the drone from just kind of like the bare bones, full carbon fiber, through all the way through to this iconic and unique drone. We settled on this design because it was able to incorporate all of the components that we need, as well as be visually, like, kind of not like an eyesore, and visually bright so people could see it. It's as I've been told a few times, it looks like it would make Steve Jobs happy.
Okay, well, no, it's got a very, very sleek design. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Hey, the drone, is it something where you purchase it, or is it is there a service, or do you provide drone services, or what? What's the business model, for the product?
Sure. So the product is leased. We do that just because it's the most effective way of distributing the product to our customers and allowing them, once we come out with new hardware, maybe a new sensor system, allowing to do a quick and easy upgrade into the lease. It also allows the flexibility to kind of trade out their old model for a new one directly to us. Once we come up with new products, it also allows us to maintain the quality of the product. So by allowing 24/7 technical support, warranties on the product in and of itself. So if anything does happen to it, it's something that we take care of, and all, like any maintenance. That's how the model works. So it's definitely at least directed to the customer. We
At least
don't.
the hardware. What about the software?
Yeah, the software is licensed. So the hardware is one piece, the software is another. The reason why we did this is we don't. Rise is not in the business of assuming the job of the actual inspector. We're here to provide the inspector a tool to do their job more efficiently.
Okay.
So the software is a local host as opposed to software as a service?
Yeah, so it's still software as a service. The software aspect is still something that we maintain the control of the software and make sure we send out updates to both the drone and the end user application for new product features. Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Colby, what got you started in this business? Why are you interested in drones?
I was wondering that exact same thing, Mark.
I actually grew up in a family in the aviation industry. Like my dad works for Southwest. My mom worked for Northwest too, funny enough. And I have a couple of uncles and aunts that work at Delta. And so I've always been around the aviation space. I initially really started my career. I really wanted to go to the Air Force Academy. I wanted to be a pilot, but I'm 6'5" and I wanted to fly F-22. So wasn't going to happen, which is fine. I ended up studying computer science and then realized I hated calculus after Calc 3 and switched to my love, my passion, which was the aviation industry. I wanted to, obtain my pilot's license and then really focused on ensuring the industry that I really passionately care about is the most effective and the best that it can be.
So you're a pilot?
Yes. No, not anymore. I haven't had the opportunity to do my to renew my license. Just given everything going on, but as soon as I can, I will.
Colby, once a pilot, always a pilot.
Yeah,
this is true.
Take away your license. You may not have a current medical, but they don't take away your license. So, yeah.
I'll renew it.
Larry got his pilot license about 1.5 years ago now.
Yep.
Yeah, congratulations. I remember we talked about that before.
Yeah, exactly. It's really fun. It's really
a lot of fun being in the sky.
Hey,
yeah,
Colby, how big a company is Rise?
Sure. So we're about a team of 9 people now and growing.
Yeah, awesome.
Well, not to mention, you don't manufacture the drones, right?
No. So we have a partner that we use that's based right here in Austin, Texas, that is manufacturer, and they specialize really in drones. Actually, their founder is the former CEO of DJI America, is also an advisor to the company. So he's really, really, yeah.
Yeah, that's
Colby, I'm always curious. I'm always curious what people have learned as they've tried to stand up a new business and tried to grow a new business. What kind of lessons can you share about things that you personally have learned over the last? How long has Rise been around?
Since as Rise, about almost a year and a half now.
So what have you learned in the last couple of years about how to kind of a business?
How to manage
in a crisis?
Yeah, in a crisis. Don't give up. The thing that I noticed, what sets someone apart from a business from failing and a business from succeeding is not giving up. You only fail when you say you do. So ensuring that you surround yourself with the right people, really surround yourself with the right people, and ensure that you are building something that's not only means something to you, but that means something to an industry that you work in, and just keep powering through. So especially in my case, when we deal with a bunch of no's when raising fundraising, like raising capital, always know there's going to be that person that's going to say yeah.
Oh, cool. Awesome.
That's great. That's good advice. Hey, listen, along that same lines is that with people that are out there today struggling in their businesses today, and well, you know, I even am reluctant to say that. You know, we started this recovery in aviation virtual summit, Colby, because we really wanted to, as an industry, help one another, you know, to see how we can, you know, get together and we can take leaders that have really good ideas like the things you just shared just now, all right, and help one another to really be successful in our businesses. And what Larry and I really learned over the last 3 days was there's a lot of people that are doing a lot of really successful things right now, okay? And we look around and there are parts of the economy that are having a very difficult time right now. Commercial aviation is having a very difficult time, and it's going to take some time for it to come back. But at the same time, within aviation, there's a tremendous amount of businesses that are doing very, very well right now and actually having record profits and record revenues right now, depending upon what sector they're in, okay? And so when I say, you know, that, you know, what are people doing during these difficult times? I'm not even sure I should be saying that anymore. I should be saying, what are people doing during these times where there's opportunity, you know, to grow and shift, you know, into spaces that are doing the best? And I wanted to ask you at this time is that, you know, what do people need to be doing in order to be able to shift and find the right spaces in the market in order to be able to continue to grow when times in some places are really difficult? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that is a very, very good point. And my thoughts on that is ensure you are still, even in light of COVID, even if it's through LinkedIn, whatever, always connect with people. People are going to be your number one resource and will help you get from A to B. Make sure you're confident in what you do, or at least like start learning new skills, but always ensure that you have a strong network and a fundamental like backing of people that aren't just, you know, connecting with you because they see you have a cool background, but these people that are genuinely care about your succeed. Because if you look, most people do. The only thing that I want to do is ensure I see people succeed. I don't want to put anyone down. So really ensure you continue to network and continue to build and continue to grow in the field that you want to be in.
Yeah, just a lot of really positive, you know, approach. That's just really amazing. Larry, you got any other comments today or questions left for Colby here today?
I don't have anything further today, Mark.
Great, very good. Hey, Colby, listen, I just can't tell you how much we really appreciate you taking time to do this. I know that it took, you know, some preparation. You had to set aside some time, you know, to be able to meet with us, and you know, it's really the entire group of leaders that we put together for this virtual summit that really is what makes the difference. Because what we did is we went out and reached out to people that we thought were leaders in the industry and had a message and had some thought leadership that we could put out there. And that's what caused us to get, you know, like 6,000 people to register for this event, was because of the people that we put onto the lineup. And so I wanted to thank you for giving of your time and effort to the industry to be able to speak to people and to let them know what you're doing and what you're doing to be able to create success, because collectively together is what makes the difference, Colby.
Always. Exactly. And it's my pleasure to be here.
Yeah, great.
Thanks,
good.
Colby.
Very good.
Good
Very
talking
good.
to you again.
Yep. Hey, listen, just as I wrap things up here, I wanted to tell people that are watching here is that at the beginning, I told you to go to the platform that we are doing this broadcast from at live.recoveryinaviation.com. All right. And at that site, you have the opportunity to be able to ask, or not ask questions anymore, but to be able to say you'd like more information. All right. And if you scroll down to the last person on the agenda with the coolest technology today, you'll find Colby Harvey. All right. And right alongside of his name and his picture there, you can push the button that says, I would like to get more information. You put in your name and your email, and it will give you his LinkedIn, and it'll give you the ability to go to his website, and we'll be able to capture your contact information and forward that on to Colby. And Colby will be happy to follow up with you and provide you with additional information about what they're doing and what kind of opportunities there are. So do that, reach out to Colby, and you know, keep the conversation going. And I just want to thank you so much, Colby, for joining us today and being on the summit with us.
Of course, it's definitely my pleasure. And if I can end on a really high note,
Yeah, really, very much so.
Yeah, if ending on a high note, what I really want people to really understand is that the aviation industry is still strong. People will still need to go places, and as long as we're in this together, and we can be the reason why the aviation industry recovers.
Very good. I agree with you.
Absolutely.
100%, wholeheartedly. Thank you. Hey, listen,
you.
Larry and I are going in about 25 minutes. Larry and I are going to do a wrap-up session, a closing session for this virtual summit. And for those of you that are out there and you've stuck with us for 3 days and you've seen 61 or 62 presenters, I think at this particular point in time, leaders that have brought thought leadership. Larry and I are going to wrap things up in about 25 minutes, and we just we invite you to join us for that wrap-up session, and we're looking forward to seeing you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
See you, Colby. Take care.
Bye, everyone. Bye, Larry.